What's up? It's another wealthy day in the neighborhood. Thank you guys so much for choosing to be my wealthy neighbors, man. I'm excited. It's the 10th episode, actually. 10 episodes of Wealth Talk TV where we have candid conversations with wealthy individuals on their wealth journey. And they're basically just giving us the nuggets, giving us the tidbits, giving us some of the value, some of the things that they learned on their wealth journey and what has worked for them in the process of them achieving the different obstacles that they overcome along the journey that they take to get to where they're trying to go to. So this episode is really a dope episode. Actually, it's episode with the queen, a goddess within her own right, a queen within her own right, the wonderful, amazing visual and performing artist LaToya Lovely. And she's just going to come on and just tell us some of the things that she's seen on her wealth journey and in her growth process, and some of the things that she has encountered with becoming a muralist and growing in that art form, as well as just the beginning stages. A lot of times when it comes down to whatever your medium is, because business is an art medium, painting is an art medium, performing is an art medium, music is an art medium, cooking, anything, whatever your gift is an art medium. So in using that, we have to figure out different ways to try to monetize it. Sometimes we have to figure out how do we even go through the process of just growing and developing in our own brand or in our own gift, and how to be able to apply it to other areas so that it can work in our favor. So she's going to have a conversation with us about just some of the things that she's seen and experienced, and how to just basically not be in a space where you take your gift seriously, but don't take yourself so seriously. Take your gift seriously to the point where you know who you are, you know what your gift is, you know what your call is, but don't take yourself so seriously where you feel like just because I make a mistake that I can't start over or start afresh or start anew. So I'm really, really excited about this episode. Welcome to Wealth Talk TV, episode 10, and I hope you guys enjoy this. Oh, yeah,
Hey!
yeah. Hey, what's up? How you doing?
You, Len.
I'm doing all right. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on episode 10 of Wealth Talk TV. How's your day been?
It's been a little busy. I got moments of calm. So, how about yours?
This has been a bit busy. I've been working on products so that I'll be ready for the street fair on July 4th and 5th.
Oh, I didn't even know about that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. So let's go ahead and kick it off, and you tell the people your name and your purpose.
Okay. My name is LaToya Lovely, and I'm an artist.
Dope, dope. And that's your occupation or your vocation. What would you say like your purpose is? What would you say like you were put here to do what?
I think that activism comes in many forms, and my purpose as a visual and performing artist is for that to be the vehicle with which I use my voice.
Dope.
And so, yeah, I think I was put here to talk about strength and resilience and being a strong Black woman through my dance, my movement, and my art painting.
Oh, that's cool. So
Thank you.
how did you find that as your purpose? How did you go about finding that was your call?
Well, for dance, actually, as a kid, I think we all know exactly what we want to do. And the beautiful thing about it is, as kids, we don't have that fear. We're fearless.
Right.
We don't have those doubts, those objections. And so, as an adult, I let myself hinder myself from achieving those goals I already knew I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be an artist. I drew since I knew how to hold a pencil. I used to get in trouble in school because that's all I would do. Turn around a piece of paper and be like, yes, like a fresh piece of paper. And so for dance, I started really late as a performer, as a professional artist. In college, went to a dance recital just with a friend, and sat in the audience and was persuaded to audition, and I did. And I think they chose me because I look like a dancer. You know, I got that frame.
Right.
I didn't
Okay.
know anything. I didn't know anything, but they molded me and they developed me. And that's how I got on that path. And as a painter, I used to do, I started with greeting cards.
Mm-hmm.
And friends were like, yo, these are mini masterpieces.
All
You're
right.
not going to be able to sell these for what you want, you know?
Mhm.
Get
Okay.
big, go
Right.
for it, go for it. And started doing that about 2 years ago.
Dope, dope. That's amazing. I'm sorry
Thank
about
you.
that.
You're good.
So your what is your, I know you said activism, but what is like your most recent vehicle of fulfilling your purpose as of right now?
Um, I feel that I've come to a point where, working full time
Mm-hmm.
in the world out there is what I've been doing for all my life. And when I had my son about 4 years ago, almost five, I was like, I spend so much time taking care of other people's children, which is a beautiful thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I give more time to other people's families than I give to my own family.
I feel that.
And I was like, I want to work for myself.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I've been put here to do. This is what my son has been put in my life for me to do. And so I've taken on projects and been able to see for myself that I'm capable of doing that, taking on projects and working with other artists, networking, and building my business towards serving my purpose, which is to be with him and be with the family and be taking care of ourselves.
Right, right, right. That's what's up. So, what were some of the adversities that you experienced with getting to the point that you are at now, and how did you overcome them?
hmm And most of the people that are close to me in my life, we work full time, and I work with. I have a lot of people that I work um, for, with their families, and they have partners to where they are able to stay home
Right,
or work out of home full time, or not even work,
right.
just be at home parents. And at first that got to me. I let it annoy me, I let it frustrate me,
Mm-hmm.
and then I said, I can do this for my own doggone self.
Right.
And a lot of the time I was working while at work.
Mm-hmm.
On my breaks, I would be working on an art project, or I would run out to my car and do business on the
Right.
computer. And I overcame that by overcoming it in my own head, getting
Mm-hmm.
outside of myself and not being um, jealous of what someone else was able to, achieve through
Right.
their own different circumstances. Because I'm a independent mom. This is my journey. This is
Right.
my life.
Right.
So just overcoming that in my head. And with the art, there's so many learning, there's so many paths that I've taken towards learning. And I was stubborn. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was the particular way that I'm going to do it. This right here, this way right here is going to work.
Right.
And to a certain extent, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you build creativity. That's how you do what you want. But I stopped myself from learning from other people and learning that there's other ways to do it. And so that was an obstacle that I had to overcome, realizing that there's different avenues to get to what
Gotcha.
you want.
Could you be a bit more specific on, as far as like what working with learning from other people?
Mhm.
What were some of the things that you wanted to, I guess, execute or accomplish, and you
Mhm.
had to kind of like abase yourself to be able to learn from someone who already had experience in that area?
Yeah, I started out with Etsy,
Mm,
and that platform didn't work for me.
okay.
But I stayed on it for so long. I paid the monthly dues for I don't even remember how long. And people were telling me, eventually you're going to want to build a website.
Right.
This might not be what you're wanting to sell.
Right.
You're not getting enough traffic. There's millions of people on this that are doing the same thing you're doing. And so I had other artists that I would reach out to on social media, and they'd explain, go exhibit, have exhibits, ask these coffee shops that have these blank spaces, can I have my work here? Go network, go to someone else's show,
Right.
go on social media, get DMs, slide into the DMs, ask these questions. And that's where I was able to learn.
Dope, dope, dope. So I kind of want you to go back to just a little bit about what you have learned from working for others while working on your own purpose and your own call. Because a lot of times it gets extremely difficult and extremely hard, especially as a single individual,
Mm-hmm.
where you have no choice but to be responsible now, not for only your utilities or your overhead, but also be responsible for the reinvestment into your craft.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you say what has been the driving force to help you be able to basically mitigate that task or that responsibility of maintaining your overhead as well as investing in your gift?
Mm-hmm. That has also been the biggest learning process, because trying to make a profit here, this
Right.
is a business.
Right.
And oh my gosh, I finally, it was just reaching out and asking different artists. And I finally, I found um, a print shop, which is where I do my original works, and then I get prints made of them, whether they be in canvas or in archival paper.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of researching. It was a lot of researching and a lot of trial and error until I was able to find a company that charged me the least amount to produce my product, to where I could sell it for an amount that I was happy with the return on.
Mm-hmm.
And also joining a website that supplied the prints for me. So when, give me just 1 second. My son is in the background. Okay, sorry about that.
Quite all right.
All right. So, okay. Was I headed towards the answer?
You were talking about the print shop as far as like finding someone to be able to basically assist in your cutting cost efforts.
Yes, yes. And then the website that I was notified about from another fellow artist, they'll take orders from clients,
Mm.
and then they will actually, as a part of my monthly dues, which is very minimal, will make the prints and frame them if the client chooses to do so, and ship them. And before, I was doing everything. Oh
Right.
my gosh, like just taking so much time and effort, to where I was trying not to exhaust myself and
Mm-hmm.
overwhelm myself. And I would have to stop taking clients so that I could keep up.
Mm-hmm.
And just doing that research, constant reaching out to individuals, asking what they do, and implementing it into my business is what has worked.
Gotcha. Dope, dope, dope. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So I will ask this question. What exactly, like, how do you, I know that you stated uh, working with this particular company, but as an artist, how are you guys even going through the process of setting like your price points?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's kind of like we all have put time and energy into our gift and
Yes.
spend money on being able to get the materials that we need to be able to uh, actually, paint or do whatever it is with our
Mm-hmm.
product. But what are some of the ways that you actually go about trying to gauge what the value of this particular painting is or
Yes.
piece is?
That is the best question.
Okay.
And I have worked on that for so long. And the hard thing about being an artist, I think it also comes to where we are. We're here
Hmm.
in Portland. It feels that we have all kinds of art around us. Feels like people respect and understand the business of art. But then when it comes down to pricing, a lot of clients are just like, ooh, I'm happy that you see the worth of your work, but that's a little bit too much for me. And I ran into that all the time when I was beginning. And then I was asking other people, and many artists have a hard time figuring out pricing. And so I said, okay, well, in my regular life, I get paid this amount per hour. I would like to be paid that amount for my artwork. And then that didn't work. And so I tried to price it per the hours that my time that I put into a piece. That didn't work because client wants to see that your pricing makes sense. They want to see that, okay, this piece is big. That makes sense. That is this amount. This piece is smaller. Oh, but you put so much detail into this. Like if my explanation were, I put so much detail into this piece. I used mixed media. I hand sewed and such. So this piece costs this amount. They don't understand that. They want it to make sense in their head.
Gotcha.
And so what I started to do, and this finally worked for me, I said, okay, let's set the dollar amount to this. This seems like a reasonable dollar amount to me because I should be getting paid. But it can't, I feel I have to grow as an artist.
Right.
And in order to raise my rates, I have to become known, and people they'll ask for that experience, and they'll ask, where's your work featured? How many clients have you had this past year? And that kind of thing, to be able to up the rate of my work. And so I take a dollar amount, and then I charge per linear inch. And that makes, I just take this dollar amount and add those inches up and multiply it together with that dollar amount. And my prices across the board, they make sense to the client.
Gotcha. When you say linear inch, do you mean by the size of the canvas?
Yes. So if the canvas is 24 inches by 48, I take that 24 plus 48 and then multiply it by my rate. And that's what my pieces cost.
Gotcha.
And it makes sense across the board.
Okay. Dope. Okay, that's what's up. That gives a bit more clarity, because a lot of times it's just difficult trying to figure out what's the best price point. And like you said, you're trying to build reliability as well as relationship with your clients. I want them to, if nothing else at first, become engaged enough to want to experience more of it. So that's what's up. Okay, so the next question that I have for you is I kind of want to know, how did you get into muraling?
Oh, okay. So I'm new, basically.
Okay.
And then I actually wanted to also go back on the last question, but after that. But murals, so the very first mural I did was last year, and it was for I saw a comment on Black Portland on Facebook.
Okay.
And somebody was like, hey, they're looking for artists for this boutique hotel. It's called Kenton Boutique Hotel. It's in the Kenton district.
I'm not too far away from it. I read by it.
Yes. And it's Black owned, by people of color. And so I just emailed an individual working on the project. I said, yeah, here's my art. And that's what I'll do a lot. Like I'll see these projects, and then I'll send emails and invite people to go to my Instagram, my business Instagram, and then they can respond if they're interested. Okay. And so the individual got back to me, and she was like, I love your art, but what we're looking for is landscape, and I don't see that you do any of that, landscape art. And I was like, okay, well, how about I draw a sketch and then send that to you as my proposal? And I did. And she was like, dope, yes, come do it.
Right.
And then, it was this little canvas I sent. So then I show up to the hotel, and it's this, I knew the measurements, but when you're standing in front of a 6 by something foot wall, something that's taller than you and wide is the room, and you're used to this like that's all you've worked with. I was so, oh my gosh, like I came real close to crying a few days of that project. And the blessed thing about it was that I was in a room by myself.
Okay.
And so it was a hotel room. They hired artists to draw murals on every hotel room in there.
Okay.
And I was able to get outside of my head. I was able to break down, breathe, get it together over and over again throughout that process. And the last day, they were like, so can, or a few days before, they were like, so can you get it done in like half the time? And I was like, oh, Lord Jesus. I'm like trying not to break down.
Right.
No, I busted some Beyonce and I was like, let's do this, B. Let's do this, B. And I did it. And I was just so proud of myself. And I couldn't believe I did. I couldn't believe it.
That's
I was like
amazing.
YouTubing, because I told him I could do this thing.
Right.
And I didn't know how to do it. Like I was YouTubing the whole time.
You had no point of reference, but
I
you
did have
did
that
it.
point of reference, and
Yeah.
I had that, but I was just like on this big whole,
Right.
yeah.
It's a different. It's a larger scale from
Yeah.
what you used to doing.
Yes.
That's amazing though, and the
Thank
fact
you.
that was like your first piece, and that kind of like just broke you out into it.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you.
So what's your process what was your process at that time when you decided to take on this 6 foot wall that you had no experience with?
Well, that process was jacked up. I wouldn't refer anybody to that one, but my mural after that one,
Mm-hmm.
I realized as a beginner to
Mm-hmm.
start basic,
Mm.
and there's beauty in simplicity,
Okay.
and to grow from there. So I started with a sketch, and I knew exactly what colors I wanted to use. And when I got to the actual wall, I primed it, I painted it, kept taking steps back to make sure my dimensions were right. Because when you're up close into something, you
Right.
don't see it. You got to see it from different perspectives. And so then I did my painting, and I take a few days so that I can come back and see it from a different, just a completely fresh view.
Gotcha.
To see what it needs, to see what's not working.
Right.
And an individual told me, she was like, you know what? And it's just the smallest thing. She was just like, if you mess up, just paint over it. And that really took so much weight off, because
Mm.
when you're doing a mural, the whole public gets to see it and
Right.
gets to see you jacking up and then be like, "Ooh, what's that supposed to be?"
Right.
But when you know that nothing is permanent, you mess, just redo it, girl. Chill, redo it. That was a part of my process. If you mess up, try it again.
That's amazing. You said that you wanted to go back to the previous question.
Oh yeah. So the pricing.
Mm-hmm.
I oftentimes, people I had a client ask me if do you do layaway? And I was like, yes, I do. And right there, for real, I am not joking. Because I'm like, why wouldn't you be able to take this painting home? That
Right.
is, if you, the fact that you've connected with this piece and you sat here and you had this conversation with something I pulled from my heart and it connected, it tethered to yours, you should own it. And
Right.
so I was like, I will accept installments.
Mm-hmm.
I will accept payment plans. So with the down payment, and then we can figure out what you'd like to make in your installments following that, we can plan that. And I've had plenty of customers take me up on installment plans, whereas before they just tell me, oh man, I wish I could afford that. That's beautiful. I love that. And okay, take it. Let's work on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Dope. Okay, so also advise doing installments.
Yes.
So gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say, like you, as an artist, like you stated, you have to look up close to details as well as look from a distance and continuously looking at your art from a different perspective,
Yes.
as well as um, if you just so happen to mess up, you can just paint over it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask, when it comes down to your life, what are some of the principles that you've taken from painting and have applied to your life?
Mm. That's a really creative question. It's a great question. Hmm. I will say that I've I've taught dance in the past, taught for a while, and taught mostly kids.
Okay.
And I learned from kids that most of us are capable of just about anything that we really, really want to do.
Mm.
If we really, really want to do it, and if we take away all, because kids, like I said in the beginning, they're fearless. They don't have all these ideas in their head about, I might fall, unless they've fallen and they've experienced it before.
Right.
Or that's too big. Or, they're just so clean, their head space.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my life with teaching my son and going about my day, I really try to remember those things, that we are so freaking capable of just about anything. And in my art, it took me a while because I wasn't a professional artist. So it
Mm-hmm.
took me a minute to explain to people when they asked what I did, that I'm an artist,
Right.
instead of saying, oh, I work for such and then I paint also. I'm an artist.
Right.
And so to understand that we can do all these things that I initially wasn't able to do because I hadn't tried. And
Right.
so going on YouTube, the University of YouTube is where I've learned everything. I for real learn how to tie a tie, learn how to all kinds of stuff.
Right.
And so knowing that in my art I can do anything, I transfer that to my son and have taught him to read, have taught him math. He's 4, and teach him that in his interests. If he wants to dance, you want to learn how to swim, we can do that.
Right.
In bigger things that people don't feel that children do, or that, no, we don't have to worry about that until he gets older. Nope. If he wants to do it, we gonna do it. We're gonna
Right.
figure it out. So yeah.
So basically, just taking when it comes down to your art, you embody the experience of just taking limitations off of yourselves.
Yes.
Whatever
Yes.
apprehensions that you may have, just completely remove them altogether.
Yes.
Dope. Okay, cool. So
That was a good little, you just wrapped that right on. Yes.
uh, so when it comes down to collaborating with others or trying to build relationship with other artists, what are some of the things that you pay attention to before deciding this is going to be a particular person or a group that you're planning on working with?
I've only had one collaboration on an actual art piece,
Okay.
and that was really interesting. We were paired together, so I didn't have a choice in it,
Okay.
and it was a part of a social experiment,
Okay.
and that was it was tough because I have realized over the years that I like control, and especially with something that you're creating,
Right.
man. Like, and so that was hard,
Right.
but it taught me a lot about myself and a lot about things that I need to work on
Okay.
um, in a group effort. But as for things that I've, like group exhibitions,
Mm-hmm.
um, I have, you come into contact with so many artists and you vibe with them, and some you don't, but you still respect. And I think it's all just been so organic. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been the one to pursue and be like, hey, can we do this group exhibition? Or can we do this gallery, exhibit here? It's just all been so organic for me in my experience
Gotcha.
thus far.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That makes sense. You just allow things to flow naturally, and if it flows together, it works. If it doesn't, you just have a mutual respect.
Yeah, I feel like I've just kind of been on my own path and do over here, and then people will look over my shoulder and be like, "Oh, Toya, I like that. I'm having this thing over here," and I'll be like, "Yo, let's do that."
Right.
Or somebody sees me at this event and, "Hey, we're doing this a few months down the road." I'm like, "Yes, I'll be there." So
Right.
it's so natural.
Dope. Okay, cool. So I'm not gonna hold you too much longer because you've
Oh, you're
already
good.
given a great bit of insight.
Thank you.
So when it comes down to your legacy work, what exactly do you want your work or your legacy to look like for you?
I want my legacy to be, um, I really don't care about boxes. And
Mm,
in the beginning, when I was beginning to paint, I was like, I would get really, I'd be done with it. I'd be over it really quickly because I
mm,
was tired of what I was doing. And then I realized I don't have to do what other people do on a canvas. I can do what I want. I can use whatever colors I want. I was trying to think about what a client would want, like universally what someone would want in their home, what colors would be, relaxing, or what piece would be best in an office environment. And then my head was just it was just spilling out. Like, it didn't like where it was
right.
just spilling out. And so I started to work a lot with mixed media,
Mm,
and I work with synthetic hair, I hand sew, I work with wire beading, all kinds of material, fabric. And I was free, and clients were like, "This is amazing. Like, I just wouldn't even imagine something like this on
right.
an art piece." And so I feel that's freedom. Like, my art piece right there shows freedom, shows a strong Black woman, shows someone who is excluded from whatever society has used to hold us down. And I want to be known for the courage I had
Mm.
to explore and to be
Like,
free.
what does courage looks like for you? Like, what exact, if you had to define courage or an image of what courage is, could you portray that?
hmm Let's see. As for myself, being courageous in my art means using the colors that light up that cause the electricity inside of me, not worrying about how someone will perceive it, how it will be taken. um Exploring, being brave enough to explore, being
Mm.
brave enough to try new random craziness. That's courage to me.
Dope. That's amazing. That's beautiful,
Thank
actually.
you.
Yeah. Okay, so for my last question is, what's your definition of wealth?
Wealth. Okay. So I think when I think of wealth, I think of it in a couple different ways. I, f- I feel that wealth in, like, mental wealth
Mm.
to me is important, because no matter what I have, I wouldn't even be going for it if I wasn't happy, and if I wasn't driven and motivated and in a place to do that work, ready to do that work.
Right.
So wealth to me is being mentally healthy, being there in that moment, driving for what I'm going for. And then being, it's a big question.
Mhm.
I feel like it's also being comfortable, not comfortable, being in a place where I can pay my bills and I can have money saved away and I can be on other ventures because I have enough flow to where I feel freedom to do those things.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
yeah.
That makes sense. So basically having the decision that, or be in a space where you can choose. You don't have to worry about
Yeah.
the financial responsibility,
Yes.
and you're in a space that you can choose on what you'll create next or what you'll do next,
Yes.
as well as the mental freedom, mental
Yeah.
peace.
Yes.
Okay, dope. That's what's up, LaToya. You've given me a lot to chew on and think about, and I
Thank you.
also think that is extreme. What you've stated thus far has been extremely beneficial for other rising artists who are trekking their, uh, going on their path and really don't know where to start or not even comfortable in
Mm-hmm.
stepping out there and doing murals as you have already done, but the first the biggest challenge is just taking the first step, and like you,
Yes.
right, and like you said,
I'm
not
passionate about that. Like, I'm
right,
for real. Be brave.
be brave.
Be freaking brave. And know that, shoot, your heart is going to pound. It's going to be scary. You might feel sick to your stomach and all these decisions. But be freaking brave. You can do it.
So well, I appreciate you for coming on Wealth Talk TV. I'm gonna hit you up after this, all right?
Okay.
And I hope you guys have a wealthy week. It's Wealth Talk TV.
Thank you.